hell in this game. Technically, like you see
Jeez.
like a version of him. It's meant to torment Kratos more than like he's in hell, but yeah, he's Zeus's son.
This is what I have problem with, like, in universes, is because you just get messier and messier.
No, I think it works because they're just like, we've moved on. Like how it works in any world, it doesn't make sense, but there's like, we moved on. It all happened, but we're something else now.
That's fair.
Because like, yeah, I mean, they straight up like Mimir. Like, I don't know how much Norse mythology you know, but I would say like search out Gaiman's book, Norse mythology. It's a really good read. That's a kind of streamlined version of all the main Norse myths. But there was like this dude named Mimir who like could see all. He's almost like a Heimdall thing in the Marvel MCU, I think. And like Odin, like Odin cut his head off and carried him around and used him as like counsel because he knew and saw everything. And in the game, you do that. Like you have Mimir and you meet him and he's trapped by Odin and you have to cut his head off. And he's basically like this. Whenever you're walking around the world, he's telling you stories about Norse mythology and stuff. But he's also like when you first run into him and your kid's kind of off because at this point in the game, like the kid doesn't know Kratos is a god. He doesn't know he's a god. He's trying to like, and Kratos doesn't want him to know. But Mimir's like, holy shit, it's the ghost of Sparta. And I was like, that's really weird that we're just gonna be like, all these people in Norse mythology know who he is. And even Freya's like, oh my god, it's the ghost of Sparta. And you're like, how does this really transfer over? I'm not quite sure how this works, but whatever.
So it seems like they're like neighborhoods of gods, and like Kratos is just going around house to house.
Yeah, because obviously Kratos, you know, the old games were Greece. This is Norse, and there's pretty overt hints to Egyptian and like Anubis and the gods of the dead and stuff in this one. So it's very interesting.
Well, I'm easier to build those bridges since American Gods did such a good job of like showing how like gods would interact.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like, you know, like they talk about Zeus and stuff like they know, but even though like, you know, like all, you know, Roman gods and Greece gods and Norse gods, they're all kind of interchangeable. They all kind of do the same things, and you know, it's weird that these ones are like, yeah, you live in a world with Odin and the Allfather, but you still know who Zeus is, the god of gods, and even though they're almost a one for one analog, it's weird, but it is what it is. It's a really good game. Really good. I very enjoyed it.
This generation console or the game, I would definitely be playing it, but I ain't got the time, son.
That's you got to carve out time. You got to absorb other forms of media. It tells a.
It's true. It's true about that, and well, I've been watching playthroughs, so like I've kind of know the gist, but like I really want to dive deeper. Wyatt and Kurt were saying it's a really good game and the story and shit. So
it is. It's really good. Yeah, it's just the idea of, you know, like moving this character beyond what it was 10 years ago or whatever is really interesting, and to show that like,
yeah, I think it's the part is that like when they started teasing this like a couple years ago, like nobody had any expectations that it would work, and like it seems like they pulled it off.
They did. It's very interesting. I'm a fan. But other than that, you know, I got other games I gotta play. So we gotta get through this podcast. I gotta go kill more Nazis. I'm like almost done with Wolfenstein 2 right now.
That makes sense. Okay, so let's get it started. Did you get everything watched for this week?
I don't know why you always ask me this. Like I'm like, you gotta judge me every time. Like you roll up and you're like,
just because out of us two, you're the least likely to watch everything.
Yet the problem was when I texted you last night and was like, I'm completely done, you're like, I haven't even started yet.
It's true. This was all beyond this week. I went to Life of the Party. We didn't get Breaking In here. I think we'll probably get it next week, but that's the only one I didn't watch. And I wish I hadn't gone to Life of the Party.
Ooh, yeah.
We'll get to that later, though. So where do you want to start with the TV shows? Terror, Legion, or Westworld?
Okay, I'm following along like always.
Let's start with Terror then. Just because that's nearly wrapped up now. We've got 2 episodes to go.
Yeah,
and boy, did shit fucking go down this last episode.
Yeah, like I said, shit just gonna get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, it was awesome how it played out, like basically how you were saying, disrobing so you kill him, and like that was really cool to see him. He just doesn't trust Hickey, and I mean with good reason. And like when he came back and like said that it was just too far-fetched to believe. I think it was cool to see how they got the evidence proving against him, and then to do the whole court-martial thing. I'm still interested to see about the creature. They're showing him off more and more. It almost feels like can just call on him, and like there hasn't been any atrocities to first. You saw that whole little was slaughtered.
Yeah, there's pretty good slaughter.
Called in.
There's pretty good slaughter, but that like what drew me to the book when I first read it was this idea of like this, you know, the supernatural bent to this historical story, and like being able to play with that because no one knows. Like, yeah, we can be super realistic and talk about, you know, the cold and the starvation and botulism and lead poisoning and all the shit that can go wrong, mutinies, cannibalism, but also be like, use this idea of this this specter, this unknown, hunting them down and adding some more cinematic flavor to the book was interesting. So I read it, and it's the complete opposite for the show. Like, I would love the show without this monster bear thing. Like, it's just it's a little spice every now and then to keep things going, but like I'm just so invested within the characters and what they're going through and their personal struggles that, not that it takes me out, but like it seems almost rote when a monster shows up. Like, you know, when we got to the point where they're just like, when they're in the tent and they're like, go get some lumber, we got to build the fucking gallows, and then it cuts back to like them, and there's this whole scene of like the captain's final words, and then Hickey getting his own words, and you know, like this uncontrollable like rage that Crozier has for what he's done to these men and probably doomed them, to Hickey's insolence and him throwing on an Irish brogue to fucking reel in the captain, and to call back like 4 episodes ago to the note that he found that, you know, that Crozier was going to abandon these guys to try and go get help and use it against him. There's all these things that are at play that are so interesting. And then, like, not that it's not interesting, but then a big monster shows up, and I'm more into like the personal point or stuff at this point.
Yeah. They're so isolated from the world. Like, with any other story, you could have anything like Deus Ex Machina, like come in at any point and save these guys. But like, it wouldn't surprise me, Cliff, and like they're just in the middle of nowhere, and like there's nowhere, and like they have no way of getting out of this reality that they're stuck in. Like, it just feels like they're so isolated, and with that isolation comes like this claustrophobic feeling, like because now by the creature, and like it's pure mess.
Like, because like as cool as it was, like when the creature rolls in and starts fucking shit up at the end, like, you know, like I was more tense at the scene where like the captain had left, and then all of a sudden the guys roll in through the fog, and there's like, keep hearing that whistle. You hear that? I think they're out there. Like seeing these people conspire against the command from within, and like that's just it's so good at building tension that way that when the release is this thing, I don't think it's as good as if we had a more conventional narrative.
Well, it does a great way of showing them falling into madness rather than them just being mad. Like, it's given us this one that he's just getting bruises all over because, like, that's the first parts of, like, going into this whole poisoning effect. And, like, you get little clips like that. And, like, it doesn't show anything, minus when the guy was tripping on cocaine and wine, like the music and stuff. But, like, that's the only bit of the madness that we've seen so far. But it's not hard to make the leap that these guys are hearing whistles and like they are feared. Like these stories woven to strike fear in them are doing their justice and job, and like now they just want to get the hell out of there, so they're willing to do this mutiny.
So yeah, at the end of this episode, we've had the split during the attack. Hickey and his men were able to get out and procure whatever they procured and leave. But like, god damn, that's so like before it happens, like in like the middle of the episode, when you see them like it's all kind of like the planning of the mutiny on the fringe, but you see like when Hickey's like, we're gonna do this, so what I want you to do is get in there, but also burn any of the maps that could get this other group out. Like we want them to be fucked completely. Like it's not just like we're breaking off on.
And not only that, but like the whole like that entire speech where he's like, listen, there's probably gonna be a day where we look back and regret this, but fuck any of that. We got to get this done now and just do it. So it's just riveting that like he's able to compose himself like when everybody's just of degradation of their just and like them rallying to do the split.
Yeah, and then even within all that stuff, like it has some of the best character moments in this episode. Like the opening between Crozier and Fitzjames, when Fitzjames explains like he was born a bastard and he wanted something, but he always felt he was a coward and a fake and a liar. But then he is able to show the exact opposite at the end when he fucking attacks this goddamn killer bear with fucking fireworks, like he's fucking Jaime Lannister trying to take down a dragon. You get the farewell between Lady Silence and Good Sir. This unspoken where she does everything with her voice or her face because she literally can't speak. And you also get that sweet little moment with the guy who's getting the bruises and the doctor who's looking after him. They're lovers, and there's this sweet tender moment where they're trying to talk about what's happening between them, but also hide it because they can't talk in the way they need to in that time. It's just these great little character moments.
I couldn't remember if they were the lovers, but like they did a great job of like now you saying that and looking back on it, like it was really like they built that tension between them really well. Like so even had I not known that, like it would have just been a good moment between them, like trying to steal a moment for themselves but really not being able to amongst everybody. So really good stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean like this show's great, and if it sticks the last couple episodes, it's up there. Some great fucking television.
With that being said, there's only 2 episodes left, so I would assume that the one moves along with their boat and supplies, would the other ones be trailing them, or are they just going to stay put? That's the question I have, but I would assume they're going to be moving along because...
Yeah, I don't know. I can tell you how the book does it, but the show hasn't been 100% faithful to the book, and rightfully so. It's its own thing, and it's doing some interesting things, but let's just say we'll see what happens to Hickey's camp at one point. Yep, some shit goes down there.
Very nice. I'd probably say that'll be the 10th episode. I think next one will be like kind of the base camp getting its shit collected and like taking off down the road, and like we get a glimpse at Hickey's, but I bet you they save that for the finale.
We'll see. It'll be interesting.
I'm excited. I'm pretty excited. For 2 episodes to go, this show has gripped me in a way that I didn't think. And like, because the like main character dying third episode in, like I really feel like anybody can bite it.
It's probably a safe assumption.
Yeah. So, on to the Legion. How'd you like it?
What you got? Because I know you loved it.
I loved it. It's taken moments to breathe this season, and like, I love that they did this Amy episode now that she's basically gone from the show, and I think he's going to materialize her back to herself. I think that's what they were hinting with that last shot.
I felt this episode was a complete waste of time, and the show's kind of lost the plot a little.
I don't think there's really and there's not really anything to drive to. Like we know where we're going, but like these little details have to give it some time to breathe, because we didn't see Lenny other than that one shot with Amy. I thought it was just very interesting to see how various points, like, had he just chosen one way, he would have been a bum on the street. Had he given into his madness, he would have been this lunatic in the cafe. But if he would have been just stayed docile, taking the pills and like suppressing everything, like he just would have, it would have been sucked to be him. But I thought it did a great job of but I think he was able to play out those scenarios beyond actual time.
But the problem is, and this is a well-worn trope within comics, so it's nothing I'm not used to, and I hate it there too, is like these multiverses and these branching ways that reality could have went, like they mean nothing because they are not the narrative. If I was supposed to care about a David who could possibly be medicated and grow a pedo mustache, that would be the main story. That would be the main through, not these side tangents of what may have been. So none of these inform where the characters in the story are now, because they are inherently not real to what is our narrative.
See, that I differ with you on that, because I think it showed off. Prior to this episode, we kind of didn't know if it was Lenny or David that had that much power. I think showing him when he's a bum on the street and just had this insane amount of power since he's given up and trying to control it. Granted, he would have had Shadow King with him still, but I think it would have been mainly his power that he can just level places wherever he is just by giving into it. Taking it gives us a glimpse of the different personalities inside him, and I think once so the problem is you're thinking that this is going on outside his head. I think all this is playing out inside of his head, and he's from the get-go, he's been collecting personalities, and like he just lives these lives inside of his head. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the finale if he's just sitting in a chair, drooling out his mouth, and like twitchy eyes. There's just, I don't know. I just like spending time with these characters that I'm not too worried about the narrative, and like you get the moment with the singing mouse, and like you just, yeah, it was just a breath of air, I guess, for
But
this
see,
crazy
like my
whirlwind.
problem is like it's not just narrative. It's like that David is not our David. Like, so it doesn't show me anything about the character. If this was someone who had grown to be completely dependent on his sister because of how medicated he was, that's not the David I know. Like, that's not our David. So it doesn't inform anything about the character. I see what they're doing. I understand completely that this is to show all the possible ways things could have been, the way things, and almost all of them pertain to how his sister is still informed in his life. So then you take that last moment between them where he's going into Clockworks for the first time, and she said, you know, he's like, it's not supposed to be this way. She's like, yeah, but it is. Like, it's to show him that, yeah, she.
See, and that's why it feels like he's lived out these paths, and like knowing that he won't have those paths available to him now because somebody took that away from him, I think will unlock more of this inside of him.
But I don't think, like, because even some of them weren't taken away. Some of them, he still was the Shadow King inside of him. Like, so some he was, some he wasn't. But like, the whole point is to be that the thesis that that Holly and this writers are telling is that like this is the path he's supposed to be on. It may not be the way he predicted his life to be or what he wanted in life, but it's the way it is. His sister's gone. It's what happened. No matter how powerful he is, and that he could, you know, the last line from the Shadow King, you could, you know, reality is what you make it. But in the end, like, it's not, because it would be a false reality. This is the way things are. This is the way things have to be. And in the end, to waste 45 minutes with these side digressions that don't add anything is a waste, especially when I find out this week that they've added another episode this season. It really makes me feel like they lost the plot and they were like, oh, we gotta corral this back together.
That's interesting. So we get 11.
Yep, there's 11 episodes this season now.
So do you think that they had 8 episodes written? These last couple ones where kind of didn't connect, were really worthwhile to the narrative, were added as fillers, but then they realized that they couldn't, so they had to add another episode.
Well, I think when they came into this season, it was supposed to be 10. So first season was 8. This one was 10, right from the start. But I can't believe that.
No. But I'm saying if they wrote 8 for the first season, I'm sure they probably had it pretty tight 8. That when they gave them 10, they just had to fill it out a little bit, and then to tell everything they wanted to, it kind of.
I don't know. Like these feel like digressions that are pointless to a point that I don't understand what they're like. I've learned nothing between this and the whole we're gonna be in Sid's head for like it's been 2 episodes almost back to back of like character stuff that I understand but I don't feel deserves the 2 hours of time that we've spent with it.
That's fair. It's fair, and you totally have valid points. I just like these characters enough that I'm just along for the ride with them. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because that first season was written so well that I have a feeling this will all pay off down the road. But in the moment, it feels janky.
It does, and it like, especially for a season that I feel has been so, at least out of the gate on like the first 3, was so much more like like streamlined and structured, and like it felt so propulsive. Like David's back, Shadow King's out there. We're literally in a race to find his body, and now we're gonna set that aside for 2 episodes to hang out and do nothing. Like not move the needle one way or the other narratively. Feels disingenuous.
Yeah. Sure. So yeah, that's all I got for Legion. Now, how did Westworld hook you again?
By making me realize it's a very, very expensive, wannabe, prestigious version of Lost. Like, I'm just like, oh, I get what we're doing, guys. I'm so in love with it. Like, tell me that, one, you don't feel the exact same way, and two, that whole opening sequence, you weren't expecting Desmond to get off that fucking exercise bike or something. It felt like we were in a Dharma.
No, I was absolutely going to text you. I was like, is that fucking Desmond's fucking room? Like, if they would have played, whatever, the Jefferson or something, whatever record they showed him playing, I was like, is that the fucking hatch? Is this what we're doing? I was moderately upset. Oh, fuck it, let's do this, I guess. But goddamn it.
But yeah, I mean, like, look at what they're like. There's that whole scene which feels so much like that season 2 of Lost. And also, when you think about it, like, there's these doors / elevators that have underground labs in them, and weird shit's going on, and like, it's hooked me in that way that Lost has. Now that I feel that after we've got through the cloying wink wink, like, you'll not see what we're doing in season 1 because we're trying to hide everything in our elliptical storytelling. That the way they're doing it now, they're just having fun, and it's weird sci-fi stuff, and the flashbacks, the way they're doing flashbacks isn't Lost-esque, but the way they're using this further, the timeline further back to inform who the characters are now and reveal more about them, I think is super interesting. Like I'm so much more invested in Ed Harris's character now that they've quit fucking trying to hide who he is, and that we're able to see this kind of growth through how he's, because like if like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul can teach me anything, it's that you don't need to hide the fact that he started off good and then went bad. Like, it's as interesting to watch that person go down that journey. And now that I'm seeing it, like, I'm much more invested in that character. Especially when you see him in this episode.
Also, the young boy that was watching over his father when he was at Harris, I was like, if that turns out to be fucking Mr. Candles or whatever his goddamn name was that lost his arm, I was like, oh, fucking, I don't know what's going on here anymore. I was it was borderline aggravating and anxiety. Like, this episode is a hell of a lot better than the previous couple. And like, I love the things they're doing with Bernard, and like how they said none of his memories have dates on them, so like he's basically living alongside himself, so he can't tell what time is. That's fascinating, and to see that he's unlocking these memories that not only takes him to this place, but shows him as this cold-blooded like killer. That's a machine. I want to say that Bernard is probably where they perfected that. Making a host an artificial intelligence, but I bet you that little girl is Ford, with his brain.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, like the where, I don't know, I don't know. And that's what's interesting, but probably like what they were doing with Delos in there is almost that altered carbon type thing, where like, you know, clone a new body, build a new body, robotic body, and we'll put, you know, a synthetic brain within it, you know, and this person is essentially immortal, but they couldn't get it right. Well, I'm assuming like in a sense, Ford is like copied his brain, and now he can jump from host to host, and he's ostensibly immortal within it. And that's this new game that him and Ed Harris are playing.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's crazy. Yeah. Speaking of that, the fucking whole Loki shit. Well, Loki from fucking American Gods. I can't think of his name, but the crazy Confederate guy.
Yeah.
So good.
No, there's a lot there. And you see, like, what I love about that is I don't think, I think it's meant to look like, Ed Harris is sympathetic to these people. He's hung out with Lawrence a bunch, the talk about, him having a daughter, and, he's seen this family in front of him. But I think in the turn, it's not him like showing a good side. It's like he's trying to play this game the way Ford needs him to play it. He's needs to be the good guy there.
So. Also, the railroad shit, that was insane.
Yeah. Plus the fact that it almost, like, I keep comparing it to Lost, but it's all I think about right now. It's the same way of, like, one, we're not stretching this shit out a lot. Like, we're setting up mysteries and solving them within, 1 or 2 episodes. So it keeps things propulsive and keeps you engaged. But, like, the fact that I can't see things coming as quick as I probably should, like, because I'm so engrossed in, like, the storyline, and because, like, I was like, oh yeah, the chick they introduced in India is still here, cool. And it wasn't until, like, that last shot where, like, I'm like, oh, someone's riding down the sun. Oh fuck, it's his daughter. Why didn't I get this? How did I not?
No way! How did you not catch that? As soon as Lawrence said he had a daughter, I was like, oh, that's got to be him. I was like, or that's got to be her. So
the thing was, like, I was so engrossed in what they were doing that I wasn't looking for this shit. Like, the way they structured, the way they structured season 1, where it was all, everything's a big puzzle, and you're trying to actively figure it out. And in turn, I figured stuff out. Whereas this one, like, they're just telling a story and not focusing on these quote unquote mystery parts that when they do drop, I'm not looking for them, I guess.
Elsie's alive, and that's great. I'm glad to have her back on the show.
One, they were like, when Bernard's like, oh, it's Elsie, and I was like, who is that again? It's been so long since I watched season 1.
Choked her out. And 2, going back to you saying, exploring Harris's past. So his dad was redone, or you got to figure that he probably visited him 150 times and redid the spot. Like, that was his the park. And so, like, he has that much history inside the park. The fact that Logan's killed himself, his wife killed herself. I'm interested to see how their family life ties into this game too now. Considering he thinks that she hates him and she came up to him like, now we're playing the game that I wanted to play, I guess. So I'm fascinated by it again.
Right? Like, this episode, I was like, okay, I'm back in Westworld. I'm back in.
I was not excited about this season. Like I've been saying, I've been giving Legion the benefit of the doubt, but I've been holding Westworld up to a higher standard. And, like, this one was like, all right, fuck it, let's fucking dance, I guess. But the reveal that we get Sonata, but he's the Japanese dude that's in a shit ton of stuff, and I was like, God damn it! Yeah. Now I'm fucking in all the way. It's like, God damn you!
Who cares? So, we're just gonna get some samurai stuff, and we're gonna get cowboys versus samurais. Who doesn't want that? I hope Tom Cruise shows up.
That's all
as
I've ever
the last samurai.
I'm even more invested. He just walks on. It's a great movie, so fuck you, man.
Whatever, man.
I think that's it for Westworld. You got anything else?
No, I think we kind of touched on everything. It was a more closed off episode. We weren't jumping between factions and stuff. And I will say those fucking like skinless white ass hosts or whatever. Those things are creepy, and they need to not be on my TV anymore.
I appreciate them. The fact that I don't have to, like, I know they're host bodies, so it's like, yeah, fuck those guys, kill them, shoot all of them.
I'm not a fan of like they don't have eyes and stuff, and then they're just breaking their own necks and stuff. Not cool. I'm not into that.
Are you? Yeah, but Bernie's the host whisperer, I guess.
Oh, there was that.
Had them all kill themselves.
There was that crazy ass scene though, like almost the end of the Bernard stuff, when they find the Delos artificial intelligence dude, like in his little room, has gone insane, and like it felt like fucking like Event Horizon, where like I wanted him to like gouge his eyes out and be like, "Do you see like I see now?" Like it was weird.
What a batshit crazy moment. Yeah, Westworld's fantastic. Life of the Party it wasn't terrible, but it was pretty mediocre. And then out of nowhere, Christina Aguilera shows up.
What?
It was real fucking, yeah. That was my exact reaction in the theater. I was like, "What's going on here? Knock it off." It was a very dad joke-esque movie.
Shocked.
And I was like,
I'm real fucking shocked.
Yeah.
That said, all I want to know is how they justify these people who look like they're in their 40s as being in college. I'm not talking about Melissa McCarthy and stuff. The other ones who I was like, Jillian Jacobs, I saw you in Community like 10 years ago playing a college student. Stop it right now.
They actually said she was an older, like she had taken time off. She was actually in a coma for 8 years and then decided to go to college.
Stop it. I'm done.
She's a coma girl on social media, and she got a huge following for being the girl that was in a coma for 8 years. And that's how they lined up the Christina Aguilera visit.
No.
If you want to keep going down this rabbit hole, so the idea is that Melissa McCarthy and her husband split up as they send off their daughter to her last year in college. He is hooking up with his real estate agent, and at college, Melissa McCarthy hooks up with the real estate agent's son.
No.
And then, like, 3/4 of the way through the movie, they all are in the same place at the same time. It's like, it's got all kinds of awkward levels that I just don't appreciate anymore.
No.
But, like, it was great gotcha moment for the real estate lady, and, like, Melissa McCarthy's friends were like, "Dude, this is so great that this is not my life, but I'm glad that I'm here to witness this whole fucking mess and fiasco." So, there were some decent moments, but all in all, I'm kind of sad that I wasted a couple hours to see it.
You should be. You should be sad.
How was Breaking In?
What's that?
How was Breaking In?
You're breaking up. I didn't hear anything.
How was Breaking In?
Still not catching it. Are you saying a bad Melissa McCarthy?
God
joke?
damn it. No. I'm asking you how your movie went.
It was a movie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Are
you saying it wasn't as exciting as you thought it would be?
No, and that's sad because I love me some Billy Burke. Like, I was all in on Billy Burke being a sleaze. And he is a sleaze. There is just some wildly inconsistent narrative stuff in this movie that I just, like, not quite sure what's going on here. So like, the movie starts with this black gentleman like getting dressed, and he's going out jogging, and he comes to like a stop sign. He looks left, looks right, walks down the street, and gets hit by a car. Which I've seen enough cars coming that like at no point have I ever looked and not noticed a car coming. So very weird. But then like the driver gets out.
You'd be
like,
surprised. They come out of nowhere.
No, they don't. Not in the fucking suburbs like that either. Like wide open streets, and it's a giant fucking pickup truck. And then like the driver gets out and like walks up, and you see him kick him in the face. You're like, oh shit, it was a hit. Something happened. So eventually, like, and then it cuts to Gabrielle Union and her son and daughter, and they're going out to her father's like vacation home out in the woods to get it ready to sell. He was the guy who got hit and died at the beginning, and they're going in to sell it. And they're like, going there, and then essentially you find out like Billy Burke and his crew come in because there's a safe with $4 million in it. But they also talk about like in brief aside where she's like talking to her husband on the phone about how her dad was a criminal and she got out when she could, and the DA is looking into this stuff. But I'm like, wait, what? And the kids are just like, oh, grandpa lives here. I was like, you're these inconsistencies. Do these kids know their grandfather? Because it sounds like she ran away when she was a kid, and now she's coming back to Saul's house. It's all very weird, all very odd. But it's pretty much just like she's out like drinking some wine and trying to order a pizza when they make their move, and they get her kids, and she's like trying to get the kids back. It's very weird. But there's multiple times where like it builds to a climax and then flattens out and just continues, and you're like, wait, what? That's not the end? This isn't how we're finishing this? Plus, so like,
that's awesome.
There's a couple like really funny parts where like to where I'm like, who did this? The answer is it's James McTeague, the guy who did V for Vendetta and Ninja Assassin. He directed this. But like, so she pretty much like one of the guys tries to grab her at the beginning. She runs in the woods, and like he comes after her, and like she like knocks his head against a rock and ties him up and like has him gagged and stuff, and comes back to him a couple times for like information. So, and besides the point that they cut the phone line because there's a super high-tech security system, so they only have 90 minutes before the cops are called because the phone line's been cut. So I swear at one point they're like, we only have 30 minutes left, and then it goes on for what feels like hours. Like, I'm just like, how has this been 30 minutes? But like, so she eventually finds out that they're looking for a safe, right? And so she tells the daughter at one point where the safe is so that she can take him to it, because the guy she has captured is the only one who can open the safe. So she's trying to like use him as a hostage. Like, she's like, I got him. She has like a knife to his throat, and she's like, I'll kill him, but like, if you give me my kids back, I'll let you have him, and you can get in the safe and get your money. And Billy Burke just fucking shoots him because he wasn't a safe cracker. He just had like a code on him, like a little microchip on him that opened it. And I was like, this is just bad.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the worst. So like, that guy's died because of Billy Burke. Another guy like fell off the roof and broke his neck, so he's dead. So it's Billy Burke and this really creepy guy who's like wants to just murder. He's just like, we gotta kill him. They saw our face. We gotta kill him. No choice. Gotta kill kids. So like, she's running from them. Fucking like, they get in a truck. She finds like their truck and gets in it and just fucking backs over this dude, this little Mexican guy running after her. She just fucking plows through him. It just like, it's rough, right? And then she immediately And then Billy Burke shoots the back window and immediately crashes the truck, so they have to run back into the house. So now they're locked in there. Again, like I said, this movie keeps peaking and then deciding it wants to go longer. And it's only like an hour and 45 minutes. So she goes back in the house. Her and her kids are in there. Security system's down. They're safe, right? Nothing. And Billy Burke's like, I'm going to get in the house. I'm going to get in there, you bitch. I'm going to get in there. And at no point is she just like, why don't I just kick the $4 million I don't care about out the door and the dude will leave and we'll be done? But then, shock of all shocks, her husband got off work early and shows up. And so Billy Burke's beating him up. He's like, I'll kill your husband if you don't let me in. I'll kill him. And she's like, okay. Unlocks the door. The kids get out. And she's like, before that, the robber's main intent was to get the money and then tie them all up in their beds and burn the house down and make it look like an accident. So the house has been soaked in gasoline. Like, she's holding a lighter, and Billy Burke's like, this was your plan? You're going to trick me to go upstairs and burn me alive? She's like, no, I'm just going to burn all this money if you don't leave me and my family alone. He's like, okay. And he grabs the money. He's like, I'm out. Turns around. The Mexican dude who got ran over is all of a sudden alive and just shanks him. And he's all like, I'm here. It's time to start raping kids. And it takes this real hard turn into like...
Wow. Now I've got me. Son of a bitch.
So, yeah, it's real weird. I was really hoping it was going to be more like a lot more of like these people come in the house and they don't realize like she's got like, I'm not going to say like she's like Liam Neeson and Taken and got these skills, but like her fighting these people off in inventive ways. But really, it's like an hour of her trying to break into the house where they're just locked inside. Like, she's locked outside, they're inside, and they're just like, we'll kill your family. And she's like, I need to save my family. It's really weird. But yeah, hard right turn.
I can't wait to see it and be like, yeah, that was a movie. I'm surprised. Whew. Wow.
Also, the weirdest, the end shot, right? It's the family. They've defeated everyone. It's now been 90 minutes, so the cops are coming. They're sitting on the porch, right? Like, group hug, we're family.
Tell me everybody was white except them, and they thought they were breaking into this house?
I wish. But, like, so it pans up above the trees. You see the lights of the cop cars coming in. Cuts to black. Black for an inordinate amount of time. Like, I kept sitting there being like, is there another scene? Are we fading back in? Credits. Like, it's so weird.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Breaking in. I feel bad. I love me some Billy Burke, but no one treats Billy Burke with the respect that Billy Burke deserves. Have you watched Drive Angry?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the cultist with the fucking coke nail, drinking fucking beer out of a skull and stuff. Yeah.
Well, now I'm definitely gonna see it. I'll be like, that is that guy.
The one who gets his dick bitten off in the flashback.
So what madness was Blue Velvet?
Was it madness? Was it? Or was it True Life?
Okay, True Life. You got me there.
Let's say this. You take Dennis Hopper out of that movie, and is it really that crazy?
It had a very Twin Peaks vibe to it.
So, I guess, when we were living together and stuff, like, if you talked to me, like, 10 years ago, back then, between the two Davids who made weird fucking movies, I was always more into Cronenberg than I was Lynch. And as I've gotten older, like, I still love Cronenberg, but like I've grown to understand what Lynch is doing with a lot of his stuff, and it makes me more appreciative of it. So, like, I've never seen Blue Velvet, so like this, I want to get into like more like the David Lynch stuff that like I never watched. So like of all I knew of Blue Velvet, like I knew of Dennis Hopper with his fucking nitro mask, and I knew I'll fuck
Yeah, King
anything.
Koopa.
I'll fuck anything that moves, and I knew the whole, Heineken, fuck that shit, Pabst Blue Ribbon. Like, I knew those through cultural osmosis. I knew those things, but didn't know the movie. It's not bad, but I think the things he's doing in this movie are done 100 times better in Twin Peaks. The idea of, small town suburbia, white picket fences, and the horrors and degradations and the stuff that lies within, that's the whole meaning of that opening shot when, the dad has a stroke, I think. I don't know. And it burrows into the ground and you see the bugs underneath fighting. Here's the idyllic view of what we think the Norman Rockwell painting, but really underneath it's these bugs fighting, the idea of this pervasiveness in small town America. But the problem is, like I said, I think there's themes and stuff that do a lot better in his other work, especially Twin Peaks comparative to this.
This had to have been some of his earliest stuff, right?
Yeah, this is like his third movie. I think it was Eraserhead, then Dune. Oh, Eraserhead, Elephant Man, Dune, and then this. I'm pretty sure. So it's his fourth movie. But the idea of like there's a difference between the evil that Frank represents in this movie and the at no point, if I was at a bar drinking a beer and Frank rolled in, I'd get the fuck out of there because that man is unhinged and violent and dangerous. But you take the same kind of what Leland Palmer was in Twin Peaks, the same idea of this corruption and this horror within this idyllic community, the idea that it's in your house. Like, if Palmer came in, I'd probably talk to him. Hey, what's going on, man? You got some sweet hair. You're singing a lot. Let's have some fun. There's a difference between tonally what he's doing with the two that I appreciate more in Twin Peaks. But that said, I think it's a good movie. I just think he does weirdly, it's very straightforward. I wasn't expecting that. Especially when you realize what he's doing with that movie. And it's a psychosexual thriller starring a Hardy Boy. It's very much, he's literally this clean cut little squeaky boy who's like, I like to solve mysteries. And oh no, Dennis Hopper's yelling into the vagina.
It's going to be interesting to see the evolution. We've seen him work with these themes probably a few years after this movie was made, but I'm excited to get into the new season of Twin Peaks because I remember people raving that he really hit his stride with that stuff. So
yeah,
it's cool. And obviously this was probably 5 years before Twin Peaks because Cooper was so much younger in this than he was in that first season of Twin Peaks.
I think it was just the earring throwing me off.
It might have been.
Honestly, I think this was only 3 years before Twin Peaks.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because Twin Peaks was 89, and I want to say this was 85, 86.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And then he'll be an old man for the new season. So
yeah, it's true. I don't know. It's weird.
Crazy how Lynch has held on to these great actors from that young. So
yeah, I mean, Laura Dern looks so fucking young in this movie. And
also, I never trust that bitch again.
And I don't know, man. There's one that we'll build to off in the distance of this podcast, and that's Inland Empire, which I tried. I tried once. That movie came out when we worked at Blockbuster, and I remember renting it or taking it home. Our free rentals before it came out.
Yeah.
I made it through half of it. I think that movie's like over 3 hours long. I just like. I have a headache. I don't know what's happening. I just shut it off. Like, I was like, I'm not. But again, like I said, I've matured and like I understand what Lynch is doing with a lot of stuff better than I did when I was in my early 20s.
I'm excited about this little path that I think we can appreciate what he's trying to do, and like seeing him capitalize on that and get better as he gets along. That I'm excited. I liked it.
There's also
if you have a chance, check it out.
There's also like I'll say check it out if you're not disturbed by very weird sexual stuff. Cause like
if you're into Twin Peaks, check it out. If not, maybe steer clear of it.
And also if you're into Twin Peaks, like it's probably more like Fire Walk with Me than the show.
Yeah.
I mean, like that first
scene, very condensed.
That one, it's very Hitchcockian, and I love it. Where Cooper's like locked in the closet, and Frank comes in. It's very Rear Window, but it's also goddamn terrifying when Frank's just like screaming into her vagina and like being like, "Mommy, Daddy." It's so weird.
But yeah,
and also,
so what are we doing?
Also. I would be remiss if I did not talk about Dean Stockwell as the pimp, because that shit was amazing.
That was pretty incredible.
I have a question for you, though, because I'm not sure where you lie within your Lynch experience. Has it just been what I've made you watch, or?
I think for the most part, I think if you threw out one of his more known titles, I might, but more than likely
it would be Mulholland Drive would be the one you would know.
I think I've watched half of it, but I haven't watched.
Okay, that's it.
Haven't gone all the way through it.
Have you ever heard of a movie called Wild at Heart?
It sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
Okay, it's a David Lynch movie that I fucking hated. I'm curious to go back to it eventually. I don't want to like front load us with Lynch. I'm going to pepper it in every now and then. But I just want you to know, like, there's no reason I should have hated this movie. One, it's David Lynch almost doing a comedy. Two, fucking Willem Dafoe's in it as an assassin. And three, Nicolas Cage is the main character as an Elvis impersonator.
Double sold. That's awesome. So that's wild. So what are we doing for next week then?
I don't want to talk about next week. I'm done. Podcast.
I think you're really gonna enjoy it. We're doing Deadpool 2, of course. And I know you're gonna hate it, but I'm so excited about it. Actually, I don't think you will hate it. I think you'll hate Deadpool as the character, but I think maybe the story can hit it for you. So
we'll see, I suppose. Fucking hate Deadpool. Hate it.
We'll hit the regulars. Do you want to try out Fahrenheit 451?
Whew, that's a good question because I heard it's bad.
All right, so we're watching it. First episode, I'm sure, for HBO comes out this weekend.
Yeah.
And 13 Reasons Season 2 comes out.
No.
4 episodes?
I can't
guarantee. 4.
I can't guarantee I'll watch it.
All right. I'll watch it, and then I'll be like, well, you got to watch it now. So.
I don't know.
One,
I have to get Netflix back, and like I don't want to fucking get Netflix back for 13 Reasons Why. 2, I am fairly certain that like I'll watch one episode and burn like the whole first season down. Like it's gonna piss all over any goodwill I have of that first season.
What if it does good? What if it blows our expectations away?
It's not going to. It's not.
We'll see.
It's literally them being like, "Oh shit, we had a hit on our hands. How else do we tell more of the story? More people commit suicide. There's Polaroids instead of fucking cassettes."
What if an old mastermind and hid $4 million in a
what if she's a ghost possessing these people and making them commit suicide for her revenge?
Never forget. So that's what we're doing for next week. Catch us then. Peace, pineapple, and all that good stuff.
No.